Thank you, sir, for your wonderful insights. I now request on stage Mr. Sai Arul, Head of Sales for SAARC and India from Maxar Technologies. Mr. Sai Arul was with IBM for 8 years, where he was part of the strategic deals team for government, before which he was a colonel in the Indian Army. He has varied experience in business development, project management, IT operations, planning military telecommunications, electronic warfare, and electronic intelligence technologies. Sir, please take over.
Thank you, Sakshi. The stellar work being done by various states and our national asset, which is ISRO. And there's no technology usage and by various states towards betterment of economic development, which is the topic of our discussion today, depends on the well-being of a citizen and quality of life. And I'm sure all these developments that have been shared predecessors on the stage have really resulted in a better quality of life to people. After this entire series of presentations, I'll try and keep it pretty simple. I represent Maxar, which is a space infrastructure and Earth observation organization. We have a long history starting from the 1970s. We were the first to have satellites with sub-meter capability way back in 2000. And we have a rich archive of data starting from 2000 onwards at very high resolutions. From the sub-meter to what we have currently, which is at 15 centimeters high definition. So obviously, application domain of some of these led to exploitation for all the applications that were shared. Sakshi, can we move? So, going by what has been told by all my the speakers earlier, there are diverse application domains for remote sensing, and some of them are listed on the viewfoil. Right from agriculture, which has been spoken of quite a bit, management of resources, natural resources, water, forest, minerals, and the like. There's also the entire aspect of infrastructure development, its planning and coordination and monitoring. There are the entire disaster management and mitigation areas. One of the areas that was not really discussed was the economic, which again, technology could help with. And some of the typical cases include exploration, especially for natural resources, right? Use cases transcend the entire cycle of any, whether it is the planning phase where, whether it is planning for management of natural resources or for building infrastructure, there is a need for information to be able to plan it. So for example, the National High-Speed Rail, which is a customer of ours, uses high resolution imagery to plan out the alignment of the corridors, the rail corridors. What it enables is a pre-assessment of alignment to avoid settlement areas which will have high land acquisition costs. How much is to be cut, how much is to be filled, estimation of the entire cost of a project, and the like. Moving on, for example, the the next phase is of monitoring, monitoring the project itself, which, a photograph definitely is, and what we provide or what is possible through remote sensing is actual evidence of it being implemented, its status, and could be used as a tool to monitor project management, payments, and the like. Some of the large donor agencies like the World Bank and Asia Development Bank and stuff, they subscribe to imagery of projects they sponsored to verify reports that come from the implementation agencies with actual status on ground. So that's an important area to check the leakages possible in a system. There is that entire monitoring which extends to the operations and maintenance phase of any activity, whether it is agriculture, mining, infrastructure, all of them. That's another domain that is very important. Say, for example, a fiber network has got to be maintained. If you have accurate layout mapped on accurate map, you know where it is, where the assets are, where the alignment is, where the maintenance is required, and the like. And the last and most important is the impact assessment. So most governments and larger organizations struggle with trying to find out the actual impact that a project has had. And that's where, again, technology and remote sensing technology could very well be synergized, bring out those insights as to the efficacy of a model implemented, and make course corrections, acts as a feedback loop into any. Some of the real world advantages that actually come about by the use of remote sensing, and we are comparing it with physical inspection, which is also important, as well as other aerial platforms. Typically, it's the wide area coverage that is possible through remote sensing assets. It's the phenomenally lower costs as compared to any other technology, and this is to be compared with the fact that the remote sensing technology has advanced to levels where we are down to 15 centimeters in terms of resolution, which finds a lot of there's a very slight variation between aerial platforms and what is possible through satellites. And there are the entire ways to enhance imagery, refine edges, features that you want to extract. The biggest advantage is the speed in which you can acquire the data, such that typical repetitive monitoring use cases would require capture of data at defined intervals, or even if you're doing it once, the speed at which it could be done stands to a lot of advantages over any other method that is currently being utilized in the country. There is obviously the advantage of repetitive coverage, which with a satellite you could do it at the push of a button, along with the allied the speed, the costs, and the area coverage advantages that I spoke of. So with that, I'll just come to certain use cases in those 4 areas of planning, monitoring, and ops and maintenance. One is a use case of Philippines, which is a nearly 7,000 islands, a distributed area where they use satellite imagery, very high resolution satellite imagery, to build models for the entire infrastructure planning. Look at areas where infrastructure is required. There's a challenge where there are roadblocks, and technology, mostly AI driven, which is able to detect the actual impact that comes out with any changes in infrastructure and identify. And the other aspect is the up-to-date understanding of what's happening, because it's the world is forever changing, right? Another use case maybe of mining, where we have this, what I'm showing is a area in New Caledonia, which is the Southwest Pacific area, where they're using, they're really trying to figure out the impact of mining on the environment and its degradation. So there is also the river where effluents are discharged from the mines. So water logging, clogging, all those aspects could be monitored using remote sensing. You have this where both Punjab and Kerala are doing. MP is another state which is managing their efforts by use of technology. And other than the regular forest area coverage, species identification, there are also very targeted interventions that are possible by use of very high resolution imagery. The entire forest management could be optimized by using remote sense data. And that's it. I'm open to questions. Thank you.